In the meeting.
Hey, we have Falber on the line as well. We have Falberger. This is David Dave.
Yes, I can see Bob on the list of attendees.
To me, you see me?
Yes.
I'll make you a presenter so you can share. To see if Tom comes over.
We have time. That's fine.
When you get a chance, you can help me.
Has joined the meeting.
Once you can take a look and see why I can't access the license for some reason.
Okay.
It's been lined up until I think this week, last week.
Okay. Was that working?
Yeah, last week or the week before it was working. I think I did shortly after the I think the license got changed, and that's when I noticed it wasn't there. So probably pointing in the wrong area.
Do I have to sit here or?
No, I think it's up to you.
Oh, all right.
Ask the questions. Ask as many questions as you can. What's on? This is the first training. Is it on the license manager? Yeah.
Has joined the meeting.
Okay, it's like Michelle, we have everybody on board. We have Tom Timmon, our VP of Engineering, Bob Henson, the Director of Engineering, and Tom is the staff engineer, and Yun, layout engineer, Bobber, Senior Design Engineer, and myself.
Wonderful.
I think today it's kind of a intro training. Just know, the various tool and how to set it up and how to update, and also PDK. And in the end, we can do a little Q&A session. And we talk about what we want to go from here.
To me.
Okay.
So we don't really rarely do at Silvaco like kind of pre-can training like other vendor may do, where you can purchase training for like a certain amount of money. It's just, we really kind of do custom training on where you guys want to see. So I went from the point that actually provided to me.
Join the meeting.
When we get to the when when we get to the gateway section, with what I think is useful to you guys as a starting point, and as we progress through this, if there's a question that comes up, just stop me, and if I don't answer right away, I'll just take them down, and when we meet, we can start with ending the unanswered question and then take it there, kind of make it custom to your need. If that's okay with you, that's how I'd like to proceed.
Sure.
Shall we get going then?
Yeah, I just want to check, we are recording.
Yeah.
Recording, okay.
Okay, so just create a little slide here of what we'll cover today. Slide number 2 basically is in gray is what we mostly will not cover today, but in black is what I intend to go over today. On the EDA tool configuration, the tool intro, the flow, how to basically set up in our SDDA folder or the Silvaco folder product directory, and how do you access the product download on our website, the different configuration that could be used, SM, SMAN, what are those, what do they do, how do we update, install the tool, and ORPK, and any question that will come up on configuration, we can discuss that. As a second item, I'd like to start the discussion on Gateway, kind of go over can do, and then from there we'll branch into other tool. So this kind of gives you tool overflow, basically. I mean, you have your schematic entry, the simulator that can talk to Smart Spice, Harmony, that is our mix signal simulator, and Silos, basically Harmony, Mix, Spice, and Silote, which is our Verilog simulator. On the layout side, you have Expert, which can be driven from Gateway, and I'll show you that, through Netlist-driven layout that we call it. So on Expert, you have the verification suite, which is Guardian, Hypex, Guardian DRC, LVS, and Guardian Net, which basically extract the netlist. And Hypex is more for parasitic extraction. Some other tool, and from Hypex, you can basically feed back the backend netlist with parasitic into Smart Spice, and I think you guys have done that in the past. And then you have other tools like AcuCore, which is for timing analysis, Involve, which you start using, Spider, the place and route, AcuCell, which is for cell characterization. And
can I ask you a question? So AcuCore, STA, what STA? Is this for digital design or I mean,
yes. We have a customer using it where they actually use Spider and routed their block, so the whole digital block is dumped into layout, and then they re-extract analysis with SPEF and DSPF, and then this is fed back into AcuCore with the log of all those cells, and now they can rerun timing analysis with the Verilog cell and the parasitic effect.
So Hypex extract RC, would that be SDF file or?
Hypex RC can create SPEF, SPEF, and DSPF. It can create SDF.
File format AcuCore uses or?
Yeah, use DSPF or SPEF, yes.
Okay, so except SDF.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
So that was kind of an overview of itself. The next item that I wanted to go over real quick is the SDA Tools folder. Once it's installed, and this is a Windows side, but whether you install it on Windows or Linux, you have a similar structure. So under SCDA Tools folder, you have the bin directory, doc, etc, example, exe, lib, pdk, shortcut, update, and var. Roughly, I can provide you this PowerPoint, but in the bin directory, you'll have the executable or the little script that will launch the tool for the Linux side. On the doc folder, it's just the main documentation folder for the Silvaco tool. So basically, documentation about the SFLM, about the licensing and stuff like that. Not for the tool itself, but really for more of the Silvaco tool, the Silvaco installation. Example for under the example folder, you have for each multiple folder for each of the tool, and in there you'll have example for each of the tool as what they have installed. So they can part of the package. Say you install SmartSpice, then the example for SmartSpice will be uploaded at the same time. On the exe, that's basically the data of the bin. exe is for the Windows side and bin is for the Linux side. For some reason, they have that in two different directories. Lib, it's basically all your installed tools. So lib, you'll have like an expert folder, a gateway folder, Hypex folder. If you install gateway version 3.0.0, and then at a later time you update with a gateway 3.0.5, then both folder will actually be sitting in there. So you never overwrite an existing version. You will just add to the installation directory with a new folder version. And you have the ability of launching different versions. You know, if you install a newer, you can always go back and tell, I want to launch this this older version instead of that one. PDK, that's where we install all the PDK when you use the management console to install it, and I'll cover that a little later on today. Shot, that is basically this folder here, right? That contains all the shortcut for the tool. You have something equivalent on the left side, but that's just that shortcut folder. And update basically just keeps a copy of everything that was updated, so you can go back and look at what was installed on that machine or on that local installation directory. Let me see. Okay, how do we gain access to our Silvaco product or download? On our website, if you go to silvaco.com, there's a section download and support. So you're not a registered user, you need to register, but if you are, so you would have something like that, register, or you basically just log in for myself, I'll log in as myself with my password. Once you click log in, and you end up with a page that starts like that, welcome David or whatever, welcome Michelle, and then you have the download. My personal download section, I'll find something like any updates or PDK. If, for example, like recently, our PDK manager allows you to download pretty much all the XFAB PDK version that we have. You should have received an email on this. Well, you will be able to access them by my personal download section. Now, for any baseline release of software, for example, we're coming up soon with the 2016 baseline release, which is in final testing, those would be found under the software section. And their information like supported platform and all of that, but for the download, that would be either my personal download or software section. Next, real quick, on the EDA tools configuration, there was 3 different sections that you mentioned. So let's talk about this a little bit. Is a server/client configuration type. So most of the tool as you know, can be installed on Windows or Linux. Very few of them have only Linux installed at this point. We are working at being a one-on-one capability to be on Windows or Linux, but like some VAR, for example, we don't have yet a Windows platform for it, but that's in the work. License server can be either a Windows machine or a Linux machine. That's fine. Your location, I think this is the Speedy Spice, is actually the machine that you use as your license server. And if I recall, it has a local installation of the tool also on that Speedy Spice machine, correct?
Yeah.
Now, each user, go ahead.
So we have two lines. One is the fixed, one is the token. How do we configure to look for the fixed, and then if not available, go find a token?
Now they're both on the same server.
So to but when users point to the server, he doesn't know which method to point to. I wouldn't think. Yeah, okay, I know. We'll point to the root, not the local, not Spice user. Yeah. It's the root license manager. We need to configure the fixed license. If it, if someone checked out, you can move to the token.
If you have one license file that contains what I call point tool, for example, you have a license of expert, you have a license of gateway, and you have a group of token. The tool, when you launch a tool, so I launch gateway, it will first look for the gateway license. If the gateway license available in the license file, that's what it's going to grab.
Okay.
So it shouldn't basically, you shouldn't use your token if there's a joint license tool available. Make sense?
And my question is, if someone already grabbed it, so first then you can get the token.
Correct.
Right. And it happens automatically. Do we need to do anything?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It will first grab the gateway, and if you have, for example, two gateway licenses, and suddenly you have that are both used, and you have a third user that wants to grab a gateway license, it will look gateway, not find it. It will look for token, find token, boom, it's going to open gateway using token. The equivalent, which I think is 6 token or something. That's how it'll be using.
Okay.
Answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So now, each of your user can have a local install in their home directory under Linux. For example, if you all have an account on Speedy Spice and you have your home directory, you could actually make a local install there in your home directory and run in the machine on the machine, but in your home directory. I'm not sure. For me, for example, here I have my own Linux box, so I have a local install on Linux, but I also access big server on our headquarters in Santa Clara. Now, in order to point to one or the other, I just have to go to my CHSRC or my bash RC and remap the Silvaco installation directory, basically, or that be able to where I want the tool to launch from. It goes for, you can have local install on Windows. In both cases, if you have one licensed server, you will need to make sure that you point to that Speedy Spice as a licensed server. And it jumps into this section, which is talking about the SFLM, which is the Silvaco Flex License Manager. That's basically the machine that will
I have another question. Bumper is kind of a, remote, is in South Dakota, North Dakota. What would you recommend? What is the best way for him to access? Install PC version of the tool and then point the server, or should he do a VPN?
I have a local install.
Okay. I think, yeah, I see a lot from different companies is they'll either have a local install on Windows or Linux, depending what they work on. And for smaller jobs, they'll actually run their tool locally. And when they need more power, especially for simulation, or for example, you're running a full-chip IPEX RC extraction, which will need a lot of memory and more processing power, then you would run that on the big server. But a lot of the job would actually be done for some block RC extraction, could be done there locally on your machine.
When we have a chance, I should display my desktop and you can walk me through accessing the license.
Yes, we can look at that after. Yep. Okay, so when it comes to licensing, basically SFLM stands for Silvaco Flex License Manager. That's the machine that will manage license distribution to the user. Each needs to set his environment variable, his or her, to point to the license server. Different way of doing that on Windows. And next, you can use SFLM Access, which is basically, just show it here. You should have in your folder, little icon, SFLM Access. For me, right now, I'm pointing to this machine, my laptop, and 27.001 is basically just kind of a loop address, so that's also pointing to my machine. So I could go and configure that. You add a server, remove a server, or whatever. So if you're sitting at your Windows box and you want to have your local install of the tool, you could just use the SFLM Access, to point to Speedy Spice or its IP address, and as long as your machine can see the IP on the network, you should be able to grab a license. It's one way of doing that. So you can do that on Linux or Windows, because you could just type SFLM Access at the prompt on Linux, and it will bring that same GUI up. Or another way that we see is basically by setting environment variable. If you set an environment variable, it will actually override the SFLM Access setting. So in this, we didn't have the SFLM Access, so a lot of users had the environment variable. But I think this is the preferred way. It's easy to go and change it on the fly. You can have more. Well, for you have one licensed server, but some user will have like more than one licensed server, so they can go and say, okay, I want to use this or that, right? So they actually use the SFLM Access to specify that. We're saying more than one licensed server could be set up if ever needed. One thing, for example, that we see is you can set up redundant server. So you have, for example, 3 machines, and in the license file, you would specify those 3 different host ID. So the first one specified is kind of your main server. And if it fails and you try to talk to the main server, then it actually go and look at the second one, and if it fails, it will look for the third one. So you could have the same license file installed on 3 different machines, with them having their host ID listed at the top, so it will just cover each other up. If, for example, your main license server go down, you could still access license from the other 2 or the third one. So that's something we have sometimes at some customers.
So we talk either to get a redundant server set up, or redundant host be added into our existing license file.
Yeah, Peter or myself. Yeah, if you have, for example, you have Speedy Spice as one of your licenses. If you say I want to use that other Linux or that third Linux 2 and Linux 3 as to a server, you also need to register those machines. So do a local install and the registration process, so we get their host ID, the OSSMID. So we add that to the license file, and then that license could be installed on all 3. Yeah, we can work this out. The last here I wanted to cover was the SFLM admin, which is basically kind of the command that you use, or shortcut that can be used when you need to install or manage the license server. And real quick, if I bring it up on my machine, SFLM admin, it's kind of like this. Basically, you have your machine name, and this is the host ID that I was telling you about that it generates when you register a license. You can look at what are the active user. For example, if you're like, why can I get a gateway? I need to get a gateway, and so you can quickly go and take a look. Who's in all those gateway versions? Oh, so-and-so left it overnight. So you go and knock at their door and tell them, close gateway. Right? So you also can share licenses. For me, I just have 100 tokens. It's easier for my setup here to just have a bunch of tokens. But you have like a diff tool or point tool, they would all be listed. And if I want to install a new license, this is how you would do it. While doing so, it will prompt you for that SFLM admin password. And when you type that in, then it asks you, okay, do you want to do an automatic update or install save file? I would always do the automatic update if that machine has web access, because I've seen from time to time, even if I email you the license file, when you do install save file, I've seen from time to time where the file some gets corrupt through email and then it doesn't read it properly, whereas here it always grabs it directly from our server, so it finds it. If I do like automatic update here, it's going to look for it, and eventually it tells me, okay, I agree, real quick. It found a license for me. That's the license I already have installed. But if you had, like this is 705.2, okay, done. It's installed. But that one I had already. Right? But this is how you would install a new license file. You can get some report of usage. We could go into more detail if that's of interest to you. I wasn't planning on going into great detail on this today, but this is it. SFLM admin is basically the tool you would need to use to just install the new license file. So let me close that. So SMAN now. Silvaco Management Console. This is kind of the GUI that we provide in order to update the tool, install PDK, or also if you have issue with the tool, like, well, for some reason I can't generate a net list, and Gateway doesn't seem to be talking to Smart Spice properly. I don't know what's going on. Time to time, I will ask you to generate a SMAN report. What that does, it just basically gives an exact snapshot of what's installed on that machine, what are the different environment variables, so I have a better understanding of what your system looks like. SMAN console kind of looks like that. This icon here, and on Linux you would just type fman to bring it up, or use that same console. And here, basically, this outside. So if I want to install something, I could do add tool, add manage update, and you browse to whatever you want to install. And generate a new report. You just do file, new report, and it will give you a lot of detail. The report, basically, for example, if I look at custom CAD, see that for expert on Windows, I have different versions installed, 4.10.44, 4.11.21. All those versions are installed. Some Linux version installed on that machine, which is kind of useless because that's a Windows machine. But, it just lists everything that is installed. The system, I can look at the licensing, management or status. It gives me more detail on my environment variable for the licensing, what is being used currently. If I had like 2 or 3 servers listed, it would give you the detail, all the server I can talk to. So that's what SMAN can do for you.
You mentioned earlier, we can go back to older version of the tool. Is that also done in here?
Yeah, different ways can be done. Let me show you how we do it from here. In here, if I go to Product ICCAD, you could say, okay, right now, for example, on Windows, it's going to have 4.12.25. I could say, I don't want the latest for Windows. I'd like to grab 4.12.4. And that knows to grab this version when I launch.
Oh, okay.
So you can set it there. So, because just it, I guess, we didn't have them in the time. Quickly create a shortcut for each of them. So I have gateway 341, gateway 325. Right? You could do that. And the way you do it is if you look at the property, you can have the switch here after at the target. You could say -V version 341. So that tells it that it needs to launch 341. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm just being lazy. I just clicked on the link I want here. Set up for expert, I have a different one. Instead of going and changing, I just hardwire a few of them like that. Okay, minimize that.
It doesn't make any difference. It looks like I'm quite a few versions behind. It doesn't make any difference if I reload the newest software. It'll read the data, correct?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. On Gateway, there was, on Gateway, that's something that you need to be aware of. If you open, for example, 341, you open a database using 341 and you were using a 2.12 something version, there was some change made to the data structure. So once open in 341, you read back into 312 something, the prior version. So what my customer is like, okay, if you have older design, I would make backup of that product directory and label it like gateway 212 something, like a tag on it that says, okay, this is the version that I'm opening only in 212, and then I have a new copy that will allow the database to change format that I'm going to work with on 341, because once open, it can't go back. So I made it, basically recommend to make a copy. We have requested the development to actually create an application. Hold on for a second. To add to Gateway a way to revert back, because we've had many customers that we had to basically manually revert back because accidentally. They opened it, didn't mean to, or whatever. But so working on having it so it actually can write back into the old format. But with it yet, at this point, I'd be careful about this. So that was for FMAN. Let me see where we're at. All right. So now eTools, update, install tools, and PDK. I mentioned earlier, FMAN is really or management console is really the way to install new version. And I guess the best way to do that, I'm just going to go and download the XFAB XT06 from our website and quickly install it. So you'll see what will kill two birds with one stone. You'll see how to download from this site. Real quick. And maybe the image is lagging or something, and I need to slow down, but all right, so I'm logged in. I go to my personal download. Top here will be like product update, right? Because I mean, if you get AS package, you'll have Gateway, Smart View, Smart Spice, all of that. But maybe we'll do just a point tool update later down the road. We may just do a Smart View update, and those would appear under the product update here. Now, what I'm after is actually the PDK update. So I want the XT06. Just click download here. I agree. Start download. That should be pretty quick. Okay, it's done. So I'm just going to dump that onto my desktop here. So that was it. Not too painful. And if I go to Management Console, now I want to do an installation of that PDK. So I go to Tool, Add and Manage Update, Browse. I want to go to my desktop. Here's the file I just got. Update, install. Yeah, that's fine. Yes. Done. So if I close that and go into SC Tools, PDK, now I have the XT06 that I just installed, and I have your XDM10 that I'm going to use for the Gateway demo later down the road. That's the step to basically either add a PDK or a new version of Gateway or anything. Shortcut. Here we go.
Under PDK, you have examples, and also you have examples in the example folders. Are they them examples? Duplicate or?
Most of it. Yeah, PDK, you have the version, you have which is the PDK checklist, the summary, PDK usage, if there's any specific to that PDK, quick start manual that walks through the step of using this PDK release notes and all of that. But you also have example here for the layout side under Expert, which is a quick start example. Under Gateway, we'll have example, quick start. This one here, okay, no, that didn't be there. There was just something I put there because I wanted to split I had two different versions of the same PDK, so I dumped some other under others. But now your PDK should be structured, basically. From PDK, the different foundry or process, the version number. So, for example, if I go into this one, not this one. They all have multiple. No. No, only one version. Let me see if I go here. Oh, here we go. For example, on Semi i3 225, 1.1 was the first version in 2014. So that's how it basically adds to the directory structure. So now we're at 116 install. Here we go. So XDM10. That's what I'll be using next. Any question for that first block of item that this basically that we covered? We jumped into gateway. Is there anything specific to this that I'd like to see? Or
We like to set up a redundant server. So we will buy you the OSS MID. And I guess you will send us a license file. Main server.
correct. Yeah. Okay, I'll take it at that.
Burger is having the problem access the tool. So if you
Take a look and see what I'm pointing to, and then maybe that'll help with the redundant server aspect.
Sure, we can take a look at that.
Okay.
Guess I will need to make Bob the presenter then.
Be the presenter.
I change role to presenter. Yeah, here we go.
Okay. This is where I was pointing.
That's Bob HP. That's your machine basically.
Okay, I did have a temporary license on my
Okay.
machine for a while. So we're going to need to change this.
Correct.
So
Go back then to that shortcut folder that you were in before you clicked on SFLM admin. Yeah, bring up the SFLM access. Just about, yeah, bring that up. Yep. Okay. Now, is this IP address the IP of Speedy Spice, or what is this IP address?
well, that's a good question. Oh, it goes to the DEI server. In other words, if I come down here, we can take a look.
Now, BD Spice is 192.168.2.120.
Then change,
So
yeah.
that's the server. You say, David, I need the
Change
this?
the
So hit configure on there. Add a server next. You're gonna add a server.
That's KB network.
Yeah, yeah. And then whatever the IP that David told you.
92. Say
168.2.
2.120.
That.
Yep.
Okay, next. And yeah, it's
Can I click this
one.
and
That's good.
delete
Let's
it?
look for this.
Should I?
Yeah, what this one is, we can delete it. You have to first.
Okay.
Then we'll go hit configure, and then move next, and then remove server. And move that
We were
second
120.
Okay. And double click SFLM admin again, just to get it actually looks at for that machine. It still looks at your machine for some reason.
Let me see if I made.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's finding it.
Not finding it. Yep.
Your VPN line also?
It found.
Oh, okay.
It just took a little bit.
Okay, that's. It's a little bit longer to go through the network, but it's finding what I wanted. Okay, let's go back. We'll close that. Admin. Valid license. We'll look in
Try this one. In the address bar there, can you type the 192 water blah blah blah? Is that the number?
Okay.
So 192. 3162.
.2.20. Okay.
At the end of the 120, type column 3162. Remove that. Just put a column.
Put a what? I'm sorry. Column.
Colon.
What's a colon?
Yeah, column. Yeah. Just the hell shift.
Enter.
Oh,
Oh, that
you
was
don't
semicolon.
no at the end.
There you go.
I found it. If you do add license on this.
Okay.
So I'm not sure why FLM admin icon points to your machine. That's kind of a bizarre because it's morphing it to point to the other one, and it found it.
I don't think there was a. I was looking through the other day. Arrangement. I don't think it's going to give me there. We can look at a report and see.
While you're there, generate a new report while you're there, and email that to me so I can actually look at what maybe it's looking for your machine. Yeah, that all checks.
Do a quick one on the license.
It's too long. So. And save and email that file to me. I can take a look later at why it's doing that.
See what do we got? 7.
7760. That's it. Just press send. That I'll take a look. Now, if you launch other, like if you, like Gateway is running right now, or you killed it.
Let's try Smart View here.
Okay. Yeah, just another tool. See if you're gonna grab it. Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay. Well, I'm back in business. Thank you very much. I knew it was simple, but
No problem. No problem. Those kind of problems.
it could be both.
Okay.
First of when anything works.
Presenter.
Change role to presenter. Okay, Mike, we're back.
Okay.
Or not Michael, it's Michelle. I'm sorry.
It's the same. I've heard a lot worse than that. So we're back to Gateway. So I was going to jump in the Gateway section. To do that, I was going to use the demo example that is in the XDM10 folder. And as we go through this, if you have questions, I mean, I don't set, structure to do it. It's just I'm going to go example and show you things left and that I think should be, oh, that's not the one I wanted. Close here. Let's see. Hold on. Console. Product. Gateway. Already.
I think, Michelle, probably the best thing, I don't know if everybody else feels similar, but use a gateway, showing how to make sure that you've got the right PDK installed, where to go look for that kind of stuff. The
Okay.
valuable than play component. I mean, when PDK is installed, it becomes a lot easier.
So the PK installation itself, say you just received a new version of XDM10 or XT06, will have to be done with the management console tool.
Right.
This little guy where you would go to tool, add an update, and browse to that new SSU file. Now, once you have that, have a design and, the thing to do once you have Gateway up is basically to open what we call the workspace. Basically provides all the path to the library that you're going to be using. So usually under your SCDA folder, PK, you'll have XDM10. And if you had just received 127 and you were working with 124 or something, then browse into the 127, into Gateway, and have that workspace. Click OK. That does, basically, if we look at the workspace setting, it just sets the library name to the folder where the symbol schematic is sitting, basically. So you can do this, especially when you have your library project here, for example, project A or 1, 2, 3, and you're building symbol as you go up in hierarchy. You're like, okay, I just created that PL. I want a symbol for it. Then you create a symbol, and then you would come and add that symbol into your project folder, so you can go and instantiate that block into a higher level schematic. The way this looks here, under default, you have like common symbol like bidirectional pin, ground, in pin, no con, out pin, stuff like that. It's now under default. On TimeLib, usually it will be every symbol or device that comes part of that PDK. And SplitLib, BasicLib, they're usually provided part of every PDK. PRIMLib is really the one that is different PDK to PDK, I would say. So, back to how do you... go ahead.
How do you add a digital cell library and IO cell library? For example, we have in SpiceLib, but those are provided, right? They're not really tied to the PDK. But some PDK, we would have a kind of a PRIMLib _ digicell that we would provide to you. So it would just be a new library here, and it would be provided part of PDK. If it's not provided part of PDK and you had a head start on it and you want to add it, you can come here and let me see. You come here and say, okay, in my workspace setting, I want to add, basically, this digital cell. That's my library. Then I will browse to that folder that have all the NEN2, NEN3, NOR, the schematic symbol. Now, it's just a symbol. There's still going to be a schematic. It might just be a kind of a block, an instance of the symbol, and then that symbol will point to a Verilog definition or a space definition of that cell. It may not be actually a one-up negate with most, right? So you have the ability to do that. But that's where you would actually add the path to where all those cells would be. So where are those symbols and schematic?
Are they?
Yeah, when they browse to where?
Okay, so for example, in that PD, you under the symbol, we have you see this one has some. It's just not mapped. You have a digital cell. You have a N3 color and 3-1 symbol, so they will be there. So let me see where. Let me set that aside for now and look at the workspace setting. Yeah, so I could basically come and say, all right, I'm going to create a new library that is called dcell. So workspace setting, to symbol, the folder, boom, okay. And now, there you go. Now I can instantiate everything that is actually sitting in that folder.
Do you also have I/O cells?
Excuse me?
Cells. And I/O cells use symbols.
In one, maybe, I'm not sure, but it would be at the same way.
Okay.
It doesn't look like they have I/O cell created.
You requested or?
I have
If
David
this
here.
is something you need or given PDK, I'd send an email to Peter, and we're gonna ask the PDK group to add it to that. You know, okay.
Basically, not all of the digital cells. You know, when you have it, it's good. But we need our cells. You know, not all our cells. We need. So it's easy for them to create I/O cells, or it's
Well, the first step, I guess, would be to talk to them. If there's a very large amount, most likely they'll come back and say, well, any one of interest to you, so we can start with those.
Okay.
But if there's a crazy amount of it, then they'll most likely create them all and provide it. So we place a request, they look at for that given PDK how many there is, and then if it means it's a lot of work, then they're going to try to break it down into what group would you like to have first, that is of larger interest to you, basically, that you need first, right?
For XDM10, I have quite a few more than what you're showing, and you guys did this library for me years ago. If you take a quick look at it.
On XDM10?
Uh-huh.
XDM10, you say you have more
Got more than what you're showing.
than what I'm showing here.
Yeah.
I would have to know which PDK version you're using.
Oh, let's see. What follow workspace setup.
Maybe.
I'm looking to see.
I have to go in every PDK, check out all the I/O cells, digital cells.
So let me go to that directory.
Directly into your PDK folder, you should see that the biggest folder number you have in there, and then I can quickly take a look. And
11.82 is what I have.
111.82.
There's quite a few here.
But I've got it RLib, a Spice Lib, a models, I/O cells, gates, digital lib, D cells.
Okay, I'll have to check with them. Why they're not provided part of this PDK. I have that 111 installed, so I can't really compare right now, but I'll
Yeah, I think this is about 3 or 4 years old, Michelle, so I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I could go look it up, but I've got
Right.
quite a few. And what you did at the time is I kind of went through the fab directory and said, these are the cells that I want.
Okay.
And it showed up.
And they're the PDK group provided that to you. It's not something you
Yes.
did on your own.
Yeah.
But they have it somewhere.
I don't
They just dropped it.
want to say it needed some QA work, but that's beside the point. So it
Okay.
it was done. So After working through it and I didn't get a spice, I would go fix the schematic or what have you. So I know the version I have is good because the part works and those cells are used.
Okay.
So,
I'll run that by them, and if need be, I'll maybe access to the version you have and they run a compare on that and kind of fix everything that did wrong the first time around.
okay. Well, Dave, if you want additional stuff, I can send you what I have.
Okay. Also check other process, like XC06, XT06, SH8, and XT10. But we need a 350 cells and IO cells, pair limited or core limited. I know there's a lot of stuff in there, but if we need to pick a list, we'll probably, pick something we kind of use. Or we use the list Bob Burger you currently have.
Well, yeah. I think it's a pretty lofty request to say, well, go do everything in the XFAB library. On the other hand, if we have a reasonable idea of Amazon is going to require to shorten list of, that's
we can shorten the list. We can list, but I think we need this process as possible because we don't know what process we will use next project. Maybe Michelle, correct me, takes a couple of months to develop the PDK.
Front end, usually in a month. We don't have an unlimited resource in that group, so obviously, depending on what other work they have at that given time, we could bottleneck where it takes a little longer, but it really the best route to go will be like we put a request and we hear from them what else they have on the table, and and then set up a time. If priority needs to be set to it, Peter can escalate it and say, hey, those guys have a tape out that by so and so date, so we need to turn that around quickly. We've done that, so.
Okay.
So basically, this is how we would add any new library by just pointing at that path of where it's sitting, right? And once you have it like that, you could just say make it kind of a instead of hard path, like relative, and then it, if you open from different places, it works. Okay. Once you have that open schematic, we could just go real quick. Each care will I want to say each they should, but I don't want to be cut lie. So, but we should have always the part list Dutch color, which is every single symbol that included in that PDK. In the PDK Quick Start, you would have not in the Quick Start, but in the checklist, you would have all devices that are supported by that PDK, our front end and back end. Is there a P cell or standard cell for it? Is it ND already or not? So that part, that list, is basically a symbol that is included in PDK. Then we have usually on the Quick some example that you could, basically if we go in the PDK folder, doc, circuit. This is basically, they have like, this is the X5 XDM10. They even have here RF-lib and DigiLib, and so it looks like they dropped something somehow. I'm going to talk to them because, see, you were mentioning RF-lib, and that is here.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the 110R PDK. So they wouldn't have that in the 127. So, yeah, talk to them. That start PDF file basically takes you through the flow of using this PDK. If there's any specific to it, you need to turn this switch on before you run LVS or whatever. It's going to be specified in there. Okay.
This is probably much
So the look and feel. Go ahead, sorry.
This is a higher level question. I don't want to get too distracted here, but if I have basically a SPICE schematic, which is all logic blocks, are we go through, I want this simulation up to take this set of symbols, which are SPICE kind of related, and I want to do a digital simulation. In other words, a D-cell library, which is somehow or another related to the SPICE lib, where one way I can do SPICE and one way I can do logic. Are we going to go that somewhere along the line?
Harmony, well, not today, but Harmony is our mix simulator, which will allow you to basically have part of your simulation come from SPICE and part of your simulation come from Verilog block, and it creates the bridge between Smart SPICE and silos for simulation. So Harmony is the name of the tool.
Okay. I guess slightly different question. That is, can I take the same or similar schematic and in one case run 100% digital and in the other case run 100% SPICE? Did you answer it? I just didn't understand.
Yeah. No, I did not answer that, and yes, you can. When you have, let me try to show you that. When you have a symbol, let me see. That's not what I want to do. Okay. See, I have a symbol here. So basically, you could say the addition of this symbol will be from the generated schematic view, right? And it has like dot subcircuit, compare train, which is the name of that symbol, its pin and all. Or you can come here and say, I want you to represent that symbol with this attached file and just point to a log file. So it can be either pointing at its schematic definition or its digital definition if we want. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So where you could do the switch, have people who will actually do the switch, have some other user that just prefer creating tool, basically comparator train underscore DG for digital and comparator train underscore A for analog, and they'll just switch symbol across hierarchy and run that SPICE or digital simulation. It depends, right? It just depends how they want to use it.
Okay.
This is how you would do it.
Well, in our tools,
better your question.
Yeah. In prior tools that I've used, basically the schematic had frames inside or different pages. And inside frame would be a box that would be SPICE, or it would be logic, or it would be something else, whatever you wanted it to be. And when you exported the list, you told it what frame to look in to get the information. So that's how you extracted the net list, either from the SPICE view or the logic view. But this has the same thing. It's just done in a little bit different way. So that's trying to.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same kind of environment manager that you could go turn on this. I want the Verilog A. This I want the Verilog, like the view kind of your schematic block. It does have that. We are adding scripting to a gateway. We're still working on this. There might be a way to kind of add that through scripting. So would go and do it for you if you have your list of, grab the list of symbol and then you specify I want this one, this way, this way, this way. I'd have to run that by development and see how easy that would be to do in scripting. There would be a way to do it with scripting instead of having to go through your schematic and flip left and right manually. So I'll note of that and talk to them. All right, so bear with me. Okay, I got this. All right, so the feel of the tool, I mean, you can, all those bars can be moved left and right. They can be dug back in. I mean, you can basically, by right-clicking here next to the Help menu in that empty space, you can turn off toolbar or turn them on, attribute or not. You know, it can be customized. A lot of the customization also can be done with the preference here, edit preferences. A different color scheme. You could go with the white color scheme. Which personally, I prefer the black, but that's just the user preference. You can go with the black and change every single item color. I mean, we could spend time on what's in there, but one interesting thing is here under Tool, you could specify if you're, for example, running Smart Spice for 1827, and you were experiencing a problem with it. And then I send you a 418, 419.14. And then it seems to behave, runs, but then you don't get the same result. So you can go and pick which version to come quickly. You can specify the simulator. For example, if you want to run Smart Spice RF, Silos, or whatever simulator, there. You can set some shortcut, certain command. That's just a look and feel of the tool. I mean, we could go into greater detail if you have any need, but for now, I don't intend to spend too much time on this. The hierarchy of the project, if you just click on a block and say descend, you're on the hierarchy. If you show it where you have different level and you do info, and basically click this net here, say I want to see it in hierarchy. It's only in this block. But if I click on this net and I want to see it in hierarchy, it's going to highlight it. Let me turn this one off here. VDD here, and move this down. I'll just pop this out. Here we go. So you can say I want to see it in hierarchy, so you would see that node across hierarchy. You can choose color. I want to see pink, so it would be bold and pink hierarchy. You could say if you have you don't want to see it across hierarchy, but you want to turn everything off except this one node. That's the only one that you see there. Same thing if you go across hierarchy, you would see only that one highlighted. just some feature we added, kind of be able to trace more signal. What else? Well, you have, for example, that view that tells you where you are in your design. Why did it go so small? Hold on. Well, I already narrowed that window down. Where if you move left to where you're at. From within Gateway, when it comes to net listing, you have 3 ways you can net list. NDL is what we call the net list driven layout, and you would basically, let me save that. Yeah, okay. If I go drawing, why isn't it something happened? Well, never misses. Okay, close that and reopen because for some reason it is stall that it's telling me. So, nope. Okay. So, this toolbar here will allow you to uncheck at this level, see if you have any disconnect or anything like that. Uncheck across all levels. It comes back that it's successful. If it's not, if you have something unconnected, it's going to tell you. You create a net list. If you just create a net list here, it just creates the Spice net list, which has your list, all of your global node. You specify, let me duck back in, under station, create specific net list here, where you can say, I want an ND net list, a Guardian net list, or a Spice net list, Smart Spice net list. Now the difference between the 3, Guardian NDL, I'll show you if I generate that. This is a list. It doesn't make sense for the source voltage here. You do it at this level because you want to place the source voltage on your layout. But for this block that you want to place, you would have the device name, the WNL, and kind of a location, which is X and Y, basically. So the list of parameters that will be useful for the P cell or standard cell, and this list, NDL net list, would be able to be provided to the expert tool so that you read it in and have a first draft of your layout based on what is in the schematic. With the big advantage of that is basically creating the exact same hierarchy that you have on your schematic. So I go up in hierarchy, and when we cover expert, I'll show you that. But I go up in hierarchy based on netlist information from the schematic, that list, you can kind of do almost an LVS on the fly. It shows you flight line or what needs to be connected where. And if you cross wire, it's going to tell you, this doesn't go there. And it checks. You want to complete a net and it's all properly, you kind of rerun a quick extraction and it checks, okay, yep, that's wired up properly. So this is what that NDL netlist is for. That's netlist layout, and that would be to talk to the layout tool. The one that we can generate is basically what we call margin netlist. It would be the LVS netlist. That's the one you would use to compare with your layout. Most of the time, the margin netlist and the Smart Spice netlist will be pretty identical because you're able to simulate the extracted netlist. So, which means if your extracted netlist matches the Guardian netlist and you want to be able to simulate it, it needs to have all the proper information that each device needs for simulation. And that's what the Spice netlist would have. So it'll have 2, but most of the time they're pretty much identical. And this one is the Spice netlist, which just get generated directly if you just click this one or this one here. Now, one interesting thing to note is that even if I descend, for example, the file that I have open is comparator sim.scholar. If I descend into that block, now I'm into a block called comparator train.scholar, right? Sorry. Let me go back up, ascend. I'm in the comparator train. Even if I descend there and I read the netlist, it generates the netlist from the top, from the file that I open. Time I'll have people descend low in hierarchy, and they're like, why is it? Well, if you want to generate the netlist to the file for your comparator train itself, you will need to go and open comparator train directly, because now I open comparator underscore sim, which contains the train and its stimulus. So this is always what's going to be net listed, whether you descend in hierarchy or not. Now, if I do it from here, opening comparator train directly, then I don't have this stimulus. And would actually be the level from where I would generate the net list, because all the stimulus at the top, I don't need to have that on the layout. So this would be the one that I would use to generate the net list. So schematic, let me open that one here.
I got a question. Do you have the capability to print the schematic as a PDF? And if so, if it's a hierarchical schematic, will it generate links to the hierarchy in PDF?
Let me see.
Pretty sure the answer is yes.
Yeah, you can physically you can port to file to JPEG. I believe I reviewed that. I believe you can. Yeah. I know that in your edit preferences, you can set it so it looks for more of a printer kind of look, right? You know, that you would have in black and white. So you have the setting here. But let me see.
Try print setup.
Pardon me? In the print setup?
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
Oh.
Black yeah. Scale fit. Oh. Include circuit. All sheet include subcircuit. So it should basically put those separate sheet, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't tried that in a while.
PDF complete and PDF exchange printer as part of selections under my select printer on mine.
If you do put here,
go use your right, a sliding tab, and see if more printers in there.
okay, yeah. PDF, writer. I'll check that. I'm pretty sure.
So I'm thinking it does include hierarchy links to navigate hierarchy.
That I have to go back and double check. But the schematics that I printed out, I print them to a PDF file. Let me go and see. Let me try it here real quick. so long since I've used it here. Bookmarks, let's see, tools. I don't know how to do it right now.
Yeah, let's not spend any more time.
I'll talk to Brian. I think I'll get back to you guys on this. I took it down, so I'll come back to you and let you know. What else? Let's see here. So under maybe like how to create a symbol and stuff like that. For example, if I want to create this as a symbol here, so I could, for example, save that as just invert out or something like that. That's cool. Okay, then I'll just remove whatever is not needed. And Indian. So once you block like this that you want to create a symbol, you generate symbol or a tool symbol. Okay, out's there, in is there. I want it to look as inverter and decrease the size of that, decrease the size of that. Oops, alright. I missed on my inverter, but and then my symbol, so I could say that. As inverter out. That should work. And down the menu, if I go back to my, I can close that. Close that. Sure. Close that. directly here. So that's how you would basically just create a symbol and add it to your or use it. It first needs to be placed. Let me see here. First needs to be placed into that folder, the workspace setting. So this folder here, called Quick Start, need to have PD Tools, PDK, SDM 127, Gateway, Example, Quick Start. I need to have my inverter out symbol and my inverter out color, so the schematic and the symbol for it. As long as this is there, and it will appear part of my project library there. Now, if you want to see on Gateway that I'm not sure exactly what to cover as far as Gateway itself. Of interest to you guys?
From what of it seemed reasonably intuitive. So I used a generate symbol. That wasn't a problem. So,
yeah.
So I'm probably more familiar with most of the team is, but
I mean, here it would be to branch out into generate the net list. Well, something you can look at without really getting to Smart Spice is when you're on simulation, you have the generate net list, but you also have your control file. And control file basically contains the path to the library where no one save or monitor during your simulation, and the type of simulation you want to run. From here, we would run a transient for microsecond, and we will monitor V minus and V plus and V comp out. So that's one way to tell it which node you want to monitor. Another way is one in capture mode you can actually edit and add to your design. But and say, let me see if I save here. Okay. Okay, global, ground, VDD. I'll probably have to put the global VDD in there. But you could, sorry, that's not what I meant to do. You could come here and tell it, I want to monitor this net, I want to monitor this net, and then you could, when you generate the end deck, which is basically a combination of your net list plus control file, whatever I clicked on, right? So this comes from the control file. This comes from what I clicked on. So there's actually two ways you can switch net you want to monitor during the simulation. What else? Well, let me close that. Close. Okay, I look at. So hold on. Let me try something real quick. I think it is. tools. Yeah. Oh. Come on. Why isn't it doing it?
But you got an open in there.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. Try again. Not this. That's done. No.
And paste it.
That's what I have open. Quick start. Okay. That should take care of it. Okay. Okay. Sure not. Just gonna reinstall it because I want an unaltered version. Browse. Desktop. This one. Install. So it's already been installed. You want to reinstall it? Yes, because it knows from my update folder that it's been installed once. Yeah.
Have you guys, this is an aside here, have you guys done any work with converting different tool schematics into gate schematics?
Recently, we worked on open access compatibility, so for backend and for front end, so Gateway can read in any these that were done with IPDK open access. That's one form that we're able to read in and convert. There's kind of a translation that takes place, and it comes into our own format. The off format or mean of conversion from another tool to our tool would be through EDIF, or that's the two ways.
Okay.
Okay, so let me reopen that here. Open schematic. Quick start. Okay, so that's what I wanted to see running it. Just run that list. Generate the input deck. And if we run it, should run Spice, it'll launch Smart View, and then you can check whatever signal your monitor. From in here, you can just annotate only voltage. You can annotate only your DC current. Basically, I didn't have to run the full simulation, but I could do just a DC up, and that's what it runs, and then it comes and annotate the operation, the DC up for my circuit. So that's one more thing I wanted to show you. Here you can actually expert, but that's going to bridge into the NDL list, and it'll drive it out from the schematic. So as we're going to cover expert down the road, I'll talk more about this flow here. That's what I had. Unless you have any specific item you want to see, and if there is, I mean, obviously, kind of with what I thought you may see, but maybe I missed out on some items, so feel free to ask, and if I'm don't have anything ready, we could keep going this or spend the next session on Gateway and then bridge into something else. Any specific you feel you
Go through the kind of a action item list. So we will send you a list of case of cells and IO cells list. You want to check the script that will allow us to select in the models of a particular block, so we can cell or spice. Also, you want to check. You also check how to create hierarchical links into the PDF files. The printout of the schematic.
Yeah.
Again, next we were eager to see INVAR and the PDS nest and technology file ready. If we send it to you either today or tomorrow morning, I know you're busy next week, so and I think INVAR is probably not very interesting to other folks other than me, home and probably Tony Union. Will you be able to do it tomorrow, maybe at 1:30 p.m. or?
I highly doubt it. I have other commitment tomorrow, and I haven't looked at what you're sending me yet, so I can't really commit to be ready for tomorrow. What I'd like to do is out the headquarters next week for the training. So I hope to be able to find time and go over there with the developer of this tool and kind of really see what I have and hopefully get something ready. So at the end of next week, I could be able to demo with this data. Until I look at it, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. So that's why I'm being back on committing for tomorrow.
Okay. That's tentatively set up for next Friday at 1:30 p.m. Would that be okay? INVAR.
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay.
Yeah, try that, and I'll.
Do we want to go?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Do we want to go through our design and make it run and see that all the temperature distribution and possibly what can we improve? What are the critical components? So it's demo / working training. So.
But is this on the 6305 output structure?
This is on the 5097 where we have on-chip TBS, and if we hit it with a lightning waveform, based on our power model, the metal resistor is going to hit 500 degrees C. But I think probably we are very conservative. So with INVAR, hopefully we can get an accurate picture of the TBS.
Okay,
But if you do a 6305, can do it too, but we'll have to be next time. I mean, next to the next day. I'm trying to get in that.
Can we do it the following day, and that way I can watch to see what you guys are doing?
That's good. Is that okay with you, Michelle? So we're going to do two sections on the INVAR. One is for our 5097, and the other one is 6305.
No, we don't have to do them both. we don't have to do 6305, but you're effectively the same thing, just on a different part.
Okay, so but you want to move to the Monday.
Move to Monday, that would give more time and give me a chance to attend.
You're talking about the Monday after Monday, right?
Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
July 18th.
Yeah.
Let me get my calendar out. Yeah, the 18th.
Okay. Yeah, for that, and as the week progresses next week, I'll kind of keep you updated on that with it. So you're mostly interested into temperature.
Let me describe a little bit. Basically, we have on chip TBS, we have a diode and a resistor, metal resistor, and we would hit it with lightning waveform, which is big power, but in very short time. So the temperature, based on our rough estimation, would reach about 500 degrees C, which is very high. So we like to see more accurate analysis.
Okay. And which process was that done in?
This is a TO6.
XT06. Okay. Was the you have bar in a I don't know to what level you played with it so far. Was there any technology file that was built for you for that process? Like they call I believe they're called like ITF file or something like that, which claims the efficient and all of that.
We do have that. I just sent to David, and he's going to send to you with the net list and or GDS.
Okay, so you have kind of this setup file that we're actually okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So as far as action item for me, the list of you're going to provide me the list of PDK, P-cell you need, or at least the PDK that you like to have that in. I'll check on the capability of scripting the turn-on digital or SPICE version of a given block. You can link in PDF when you print into PDF. One other thing was registering the two other server that I like to use as backup server, and then provide me the OSSM ID for those.
Okay. And you're going to send us the point.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it, I think, right?
Well, thank you very much.
If you think of anything else that we didn't cover in Gateway and you're like, oh, shoot, right. As I said, we wanted to be pretty knuckle as far as training, so if you're like, hey, I'd really like to see this, send me an email and we can work it next time and, kind of go like that, if you're okay.
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably, play around with it, the information we need.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'll get rolling with that, and you have my contact information. So if there's anything, just let me know.
thank you very much,
Thank you
Michelle.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
David,